Hey, what's going on everyone? This is Mike Kollin at MikeKollin.com. It is not either or. It's and both, plus and more. In order to control us, they must divide us. They must divide us. Meaning, they must divide your left brain from your right brain. They must put a wall in between and convince you it's either A or it's B. You can't have both. By doing this, they have divided the entire species because everything you look at is either or. Either I'm good or you're good, and we can't both be good, so one of us must be bad. Either I'm right or you're wrong. Either it's science or it's religion. It can't be both. It's either this way or it's the other way. One way must be wrong because it can't be both. It's or. It's either my way or the highway. If I'm right, then you must be wrong, and therefore I'm good and you're bad. Which martial arts is the superior martial arts? Either mine is or yours is. It can't be both. Enter the Dragon, Bruce Lee, 1970. There is no one way. There is no right way. All martial arts are effective. The greatest breakthrough in martial arts is when Bruce Lee finally came along and said all martial arts have effective application and effective techniques that can get you victory, that can get you the goal at hand. Bruce Lee was the greatest threat in all of martial arts throughout the entire world. Every martial artist hated him. Every martial art hated him. The leaders did not want him to do this because this would bring unity. If he and she shall become one unto each other, as Christ said in the Bible, then you have unity. He is the left brain, she is the right brain. Unity, atonement, at one. When your hemispheres are at one, now you are one. You must first come together as a one whole complete being inside of you. The idea that a human being could become at unity within and have oneness was an absolute threat to our societal leaders. The leaders do not want this because then you will see with clarity. I walk through every day in life and see how people are divided inside themselves and how they fight the very people that would normally be on their side. What have we learned from narcissist abuse? Their number one goal is to separate you from your right brain, so that thus they separate you from God. And thus you lose all intuition, all awareness, all ability to decipher what they're doing to you. And that's why they do this, because it makes you blind. This is why Jesus says something to the effect, For he or she who has eyes, let them see. For he or she who can hear, let them hear. Okay, here it is. This is Matthew 13, 9 through 16. I'm going to read the first 9 through 11. Whoever has ears, let them hear. The disciples came to him and asked, Why do you speak to the people in parables? He replied, Because the knowledge of the secrets of the kingdom of heaven have been given to you, but not to them. So parables is metaphors, stories, and examples. It is symbology. Symbology is a much deeper, more in-depth way of understanding communication. Symbology is the right brain's language. The right brain says a symbol, but it doesn't mean that. It means something deeper. If you can understand that meaning, you truly have the understanding. Yes, in my course and in my trainings and my coaching, I teach people how to communicate in a much more in-depth, symbolic way, using metaphors, stories, and examples, exactly like they did in the old days in the Old Testament and also in the Bible. Because it is the most effective way to get across the meaning of your communication to another human being, so they can understand it on a more in-depth, more physical, more emotional level. And this is my course, Crack the Fimo Code for Men. You learn how to communicate like this in this in-depth, more meaningful way, your wife, your girlfriend will fall in love with you all over again. So what this is all about is opening you up to your entire circuitry, your entire left, right, and lower reptilian brain, so you have a full power. Once you learn how to open up, you gain all the power in the world. And this is what the elites, what they are fighting us on. They want to do everything in their power to divide our brain, and they want to divide us. So once they know that you have the either or mentality, it's like, well, it's either A or B. There's no other options. That's left brain thinking. The right brain is about all the options and possibilities in the world. Millions and billions and trillions of possibilities. They don't want you to see that, because that will open you up to your own power. And now you realize, wait a minute, my neighbor, just because they have a different color, they're not my enemy. Just because they have a different religion, they're not my enemy either. We're all friends. So this either-or mentality is what the serpent was tricking us into. This is what God was warning us about, the tree of knowledge. The tree of knowledge is the left brain. When you are stuck in the left brain, divided, like there's a wall in between the left and right brain, where you can't transfer information between left and right, you are limited. This is what is called the limited mind. This was the whole secret of the book of Genesis, of the serpent and Adam and Eve in the Garden of Eden. Was when God said don't eat of this fruit, it meant don't get stuck in your logical hemisphere, because once you're stuck, you can't see the bigger picture. You can get manipulated, you can be controlled, etc., etc. Because it limits your awareness. It limits your possibilities down to 2. And now you look at every conversation in this terms of either or, you or me. Either you're right or I'm right. We can't both be right. See, I had a conversation with a lady online. I think it might have been Facebook, it might have been YouTube. I think it was Facebook. And I was agreeing with her, but she couldn't see that way. And she was, oh, it's not about your feelings. I'm like, what are you talking about? That's a typical Republican thing to go to liberals. You know, oh, it's your feeling. And I'm like, what are you talking about? And I say, hey, I believe in God. And she's like, what? Oh, well, you didn't sound... I'm like, well, how did that not sound like that? I'm like, do you realize I literally agreed with everything you just said? She couldn't see a conversation with any other human being other than either I'm right or you're right. We can't both be right, so one of us must be wrong. Either I'm right or you're wrong. So if I'm right, that means you're wrong. This is the limited mind. It divides everybody from everybody. Christian churches. You can't get a single church in the United States to agree with any other church on the Bible. Not a single one. They all have different beliefs, different rules, different values, and they see things from completely radically different perspective. Do you know why? Because they're stuck in the either-or mentality. It's only when you open up to both left and right and you begin to read the parables and understand the parables on an in-depth way when it becomes absolutely clear. When this first happened to me, the Bible was this really confusing thing that I've been studying for, at this point, probably 20 plus years. And when I woke up, I was like, wait a minute, this is actually child's play. This makes a lot of sense. This is quite simple. Because the right brain adds the pieces together like pieces of a puzzle, and all of a sudden you can see the bigger picture. When you're stuck in the left brain, you only see one piece at a time, and they're all separated. You don't even think, oh, wait a minute, I think we're supposed to connect the pieces together. Each verse of the Bible is supposed to be connected together like pieces of a puzzle that build up a big beautiful picture that says love. The reason why narcissists and these people will come to you and say, oh, you believe in the Bible? I don't believe in the Bible. The thing is, they actually do believe in the Bible, but they're trying to convince you not to read the Bible. Why? When I went through this last narcissist attack about 3 or 4 years ago, I popped open and I started realizing, wait a minute, this is what the serpent was about. This is what the book, when they're talking about Cain killing Abel, in the seed of Seth and the seed of Cain. I never understood that. The pastor kept saying it over and over, and I'm like, I don't get this. He goes, Michael, the seed of Cain, so Abel's dead now. I'm like, okay. So you either come from the line of Cain, the seed of Cain, or you come from the seed of Seth. Seth is the good. Abel and Seth were the good ones. They were of spirit. They were of truth. They come from their heart, from love, whereas Cain was jealous and envious and would kill people. Alright, the purpose for sharing that is to say one thing. The reason why they don't want you to read your Bible, they don't want you to believe in it, is because the Bible identifies narcissists and it identifies narcissist abuse tactics. It just uses different words such as serpent, evil, demon, Satan, etc. And as usual, what did narcissists do? They changed their name. Instead of being Cain or being the serpent or whatever, they changed it to narcissist. So now there's no connection in the Bible to our modern day word narcissist. It's the same beings. Jesus said the truth shall set you free, and boy does it. Once you see it, nobody can turn you away from it. They'll try, but they can't, because you'll be able to see through them too. You'll be able to decipher who they are and what they are. You'll see that these people that are called pastors and ministers, a lot of them are asleep. A lot of them are not awake. If 90% or 80 to 90% of the people on the planet are living in what's called the rat race, that means they're operating off of the reptilian brain. 2 pastors told me that churches are very, very asleep. Usually it's 1 to 2% are awake in a church. They said if you have 3% of the people that are truly awake, truly connected to God, you have a powerful church. Meaning 97 to 98% of those people are completely asleep. Meaning stop listening to them. They do not understand. They cannot put the pieces of the puzzle together. The Bible is full of manifestation techniques. What do you think prayer is? Prayer is manifestation. What do you think meditation does? So a lot of you come to me and say, well, I hear you're talking about atonement and oneness. Well, I teach a series of techniques in my grounding technique class, my internal awareness technique class. That's what that's all about. That's what that entire course is about, is teaching a multitude of techniques, different perspectives, different ways to shift and become at one, to where the left hemisphere is at the same rate as the right hemisphere. So the way you atone, become at one, is by getting the left hemisphere and the right hemisphere's rhythm in sync. Just like a heart monitor, if the left brain and the right brain, if their rhythms become in sync, in other words, they both go boop, 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 and they're in the same rhythm, the same wavelength at the same time, that's when both hemispheres have clear communication going left to right. They are literally at one. Prayer, deep meditation, or deep prayer where you pray for 20, 30 minutes, it could be 15 minutes, but you have to go really, really deep. That will cause clarity, and you'll feel your entire body become in sync. It's like your head opens up to your body and you can feel. Do not limit yourself. That's what I'm trying to tell you. That's what Bruce Lee was telling people. Do not restrict yourself to one martial arts. Learn different martial arts. Become a more rounded martial artist. So when we go through life and we're saying, oh, scientists don't believe in religion, it's because scientists have never studied religion in the way that they have studied science. For example, Tyson DeGrasse literally said recently in the last 2 months, he all of a sudden, he is a biblical scholar. So now watch what he does, and this is a very tricky thing that narcissists will do. He says, if you only read the book of Genesis 2,000 years ago, you would believe that the universe was A, B, and C, and that's just not true. And then he goes on to say science has proven in this amount of time that that's just not true at all. So let me ask you a question. If we went back 2,000 years and asked science, well, what is the universe made up of? They wouldn't know. In fact, what they said was absolutely, totally, and completely wrong. So maybe I'm saying his name wrong, but Neil deGrasse Tyson, or Neil Tyson deGrasse, that's how I say it, is he went on to say, there was a video of him, this was years ago, I'm going to say it was 5 or more years ago, where he says, he goes, boy, were we wrong on that one. It was something that was a universal, absolute, total law of the universe. And he said, man, were we wrong on that one. He was talking about a universal law that was true up until about 1960 or something like that, when technology and higher powered microscopes came into reality. Is scientists started realizing, wait a minute, everything that we said were universal laws, that's not true at all. Like, that's not even close to the truth. And so on another one, he I don't know if he was talking to Joe Rogan, but he was talking to someone on a podcast, and he said to another, he's like, boy, we were wrong. He goes, boy, were we wrong on that one. And this is another one that he admitted we were wrong. Now watch this. So Neil Tyson deGrasse goes on to say in another video about scientific theorems that are supposedly true. He goes, now listen closely. He even uses the word if. If you believe this to be true, then you must believe this to be true. So if you believe this to be true and this theorem to be true, then you must believe that this theorem is also true. And people, this is what we call blind faith. We believe one thing because we believe another thing, and because we believe another thing, then this must be true also. That is not reality. That's called blind faith. That doesn't mean that it's actually true. As I said in my last video, I don't believe in blind faith. Faith is allowing yourself to open the door. Faith is allowing yourself to take that key, put it in the ignition, and turn it to turn the car on. That doesn't believe that you know how the car works, but it lets you know that if I do this, then this happens, and then you go on to the next phase to find out, well, what's connected from A to B to C to D to E? What's the bigger picture? Just like science has been trying to do for a long time. So Mike, are you telling us you don't believe in science? No, I'm saying I believe in both. It's not even a belief. It's like science is proving things, and religion, I should say spiritual teachings, are proving things. Are you ready to get your mind blown? Do you want to know why and how I do energy healing and why I'm so successful at it? Okay, so I found a video that simulated this video, and it's a brand new video. It's February 10th, so not quite brand new, but about, I don't know, 15, 18 days old. So the title is NASA Rocket Scientist Exposes Truth About UFO UAP. Now, I'm not going to go into that. I'm not even that far. I'm only about 20 minutes into the video. In fact, the part I want you to go to is about at 1759, start at 1759 on the video. So NASA rocket scientist exposes truth about UFO/UAP and our spiritual place in the cosmos. And the NASA scientist's name is Shinez Soni. I'll put the link in the description box towards the top. If I forget, remind me, okay? Science is finally catching up. Science is proving in prayer. Science is proving manifestation. Science is proving everything that Jesus was teaching. They're about 2,000 years behind, but hey, at least they're catching up. Now, this isn't the first time I've heard this. In fact, I've made videos about this over the last 10, 15 years, okay? So, let me start out where it was a 5-week training in Hawaii that I took, where I was first introduced to this around 1991 or 92, 93, somewhere around there. Here's what it was. When you study on the subatomic level, when you study electrons, photons, etc., on the on the quantum level, all of a sudden things shift. So as science gets more higher powered, we'll call it we're going to keep it real simple, okay? Much more higher powered microscopes, etc., to look at a much smaller level, from atom to electrons and now to particles, okay? What they observed absolutely blew them away, and it literally completely destroyed almost all universal laws of physics and science that they had formerly believed before this moment. When you observe on the quantum level, when you observe the particles, quantum particles, something is different. When you so what they do is they find something, discover something, they do tests with it. So they have a scientist and they'll ping one atom over to the other atom and see how far it goes, at what speed, what rate, and distance, and if there's any kind of curve or turn or anything, okay? So they would do this over and over and over. So they do it 100 times, 1,000 times, does the same thing over and over. So they mark it down. When you do A to B, it equals C. So then when they got more powerful magnifying glass or microscopes, etc., they went to a deeper level, the quantum level, smaller. They call them particles, okay? So then what they did is say, okay, well, what is this? So now they're putting these things through tests too. So they ping one particle, another particle, and the scientist, after doing it 100 times, 200 times, 1,000 times, he started getting bored. And one day, one test, you go, man, wouldn't it be cool if I pinged this one over to this one at the same speed, same rate, same distance, same time, same everything, but instead of going from point A to B, it actually went from point A and then curved off over to C or D. And lo and behold, it did. So the scientists thought, oh, there must be something wrong. This can't be possible. So you recheck the calibration of the machine, you recheck the calibration of everything. It's like, okay, well, let's do it again. So he did it, ping, 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 and it went back to normal. And then he got that thought in his mind, what if it did it again? And it did. So what he was noticing was every time he had a thought, it affected the particle. You have always had the power from the very beginning. You are creating your reality. If you don't like your reality, it's because you were lied to, tricked, and manipulated not to use your power effectively in the correct manner in order to create the reality that you desire. So the scientist that I quoted, this is a very recent podcast. NASA rocket scientist exposes truth about UFO/UAP and our spiritual place in the cosmos. Her name is the NASA rocket scientist is Shanaz Soni. I may not be pronouncing that name correctly. I will leave a link in the description. I'm going to read off almost verbatim. I wrote most of it down, what she said. Okay, so let me pull the notes up. Alright, so she says quantum physics highlights that on the subatomic level we are all the same, okay? When you are observing the electron or the photon, your observation affects the momentum, the movement. Your observation affects what you are observing. So when you are observing it, saying, I have a problem, you're acknowledging the problem, which means you are already solving it. You are putting a charge on it. You are triggering it. You are stimulating it. The fact that you are observing it, you are already answering it. She goes on to say, because electrons get stimulated very fast. In other words, it's easy to stimulate and put a charge onto electrons, onto particles, onto all of this stuff. I don't really care about what you call it, whether you call it an electron, quantum particle, whatever you call it, I don't really care. That's not even necessary to understand on the level. What is necessary to understand is that the moment you put your awareness on it, you just added a charge to it, and thus you sent it in a new direction. You gave it a different momentum. This is your power. This is why you've always had the power. If you are an empath, you are much more powerful than other people because you are more in touch with your heart, more in touch with your emotions. Emotions creates reality. Emotion creates manifestations. The more emotions, the faster and more powerful the manifestation. Your heart energy, okay, so they compared your heart energy, your heart chakra compared to your forehead, your third eye, let's call it. Your heart energy, I forget, it was something like 100,000 BTUs of units of energy. And I think the forehead, the mind energy was something like, it was something like 15,000 BTUs in comparison to the 100,000 or 200,000 that the heart energy. It was just 10 times bigger than the forehead energy. So your thinking energy is the limited energy. Your heart energy is where you step into your power. And that's why it's so important to learn how to open up to your heart. Once again, my course on internal awareness, your internal power, emotionally grounding, connecting with your internal power, whatever I call it, whatever I say. So my course, I'm going to call it around internal power, how to connect with your power. This is all about what I'm talking about. So when I talk about becoming emotionally grounding your energy, becoming internal, there's a series of techniques that teach you how to do this. This is how you gain your real power. And this is why a lot of my clients come to me and they walk out the door a transformed being. Their trajectory, their momentum has been shifted into another direction. And as you watch these people develop over the next 2 months, 3 months, 4 months, 5 months, like a Benev came back. I made a video about a year or two ago, and we did it about 2+ years ago, and we did an interview, and he's a completely different man. His haircut's different. He dresses different. The way he held his head, the way he held himself is radically different. Even the way he spoke was different. He was a much more powerful person than before he took my course. In this course, we will teach you meditation techniques. We will teach you breathing techniques. We will teach you consciousness techniques that will teach you how to be internal. All of these techniques are designed to bring you back inside and bring your energy back inside your body and your energy field, which is around your body. Most people's energy is outside above their head, and thus you're not grounded, and people can easily get inside your energy field and influence you and manipulate you. And that's what a narcissist did to you, is they knew that they could go inside your energy field and start jerking you around energetically, and that's why it hurts so much emotionally. You reconnect with your energy, you ground yourself emotionally. All of a sudden, it's like a glass, a jar of water, and it's full of water, and pink, 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 and they can't get in anymore. And you will see people look at you and they'll lean away. Well, what's going on? Because most people's energy field is porous. There's people on an unconscious level are so used to their energy going into other people's energy fields because there's holes there. There's emptiness there. You don't have anything there. But when you fill it back up with your energy, also it's like pink, pink, and they literally like pull away, and they'll freeze, and they get confused, and they because they've never met someone that's grounded. I mean, truly grounded and internal. All right, number one, if you have gotten this far in the video, please make a comment, say yes, or I enjoyed the video, or yes, I got this far. Let me know that you've got this far. Number two, if you want to attend a workshop, a training, I will set one up out here in California, in the Bay, somewhere in the Bay Area, probably the North Bay, just north of San Francisco. Let me know that you will attend. And yes, I'm talking specifically about these techniques on how to become emotionally grounded and connect to your internal power. This is the power that the powers that be, the elites, have hidden from you on purpose. They divided you from you. This will teach you how to reconnect with you. Also, I also do this on one-on-one coaching in my life coaching series. So if this is something you're interested in, we will set up a series of trainings and coaching sessions to teach you how to do this. For those of you who have noticed that when you listen to my videos, you suddenly feel better, like emotions release, or you feel more empowered, you feel more connected, it's because of my energy. If you think it's powerful through my videos, imagine what it's going to be like in person. You will have a much more powerful experience. Alright, that's it. If you like this video, if this video empowered you, if it made you feel better, and if you learned something really cool, click subscribe, click the like button, and make a comment on what it was that you learned. I hope by now, by listening to this video, you are starting to begin to truly understand what I mean when I keep telling you you are a lot more powerful than you ever knew. The power has always been inside you. It's there right now. All you have to do is learn how to access it. Alright guys, God bless you. This is the end of the video. I'll see you guys in the next video, and I'll see you at a training. Bye.